Hello and welcome to Tisiphani and Daniel and everyone watching. We are interviewing a member of the Embodied Truth Cast, Tisiphani Mayfield. We want to get to know you a little bit more. Right, Daniel?
That's right. That's right. We're going to do these little interviews with each person, and we thought we'd start off with Tisiphani.
Can we ask you a few questions about yourself? Yeah?
Of course.
Awesome. Yeah. So can you tell us a little about you, who you are, what you do in the world?
Okay. Well, I'm Tisiphani Mayfield. I'm 40. Sorry, I'm really proud of my age right now. I am a dance teacher in Milwaukee Public Schools. I work with a lot of inner city youth. What I do in the world is I give kids a voice. I give them a place where they can express themselves. And my biggest goal is to just teach them how to express themselves and how to speak, not necessarily using their words. And my latest thing is teaching my students how to be selfish, meaning how to care for self, and that it's okay. And never, ever is it okay to put others above yourself.
Beautiful.
That's really beautiful. Could you tell us a little bit why you wanted to be involved with Embodied Truth?
Because of you, Daniel. In all honesty, I wanted to work with you. While I was at UWM, I didn't get many chances to be in your pieces. So I was like, I really wanted to work with you. And then just hearing about a project where I can combine my artistry with my love of being a mom. You know, a lot of times we kind of have to put our kids not on the back burner, but to the side when we walk into the studio. So it was a great experience to know that this was going to be focused on the biggest piece of my life, which is my son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what are some of the challenges you face as being a parent?
My biggest challenge is just being a parent of a brown boy in these days and times. It's hard, you know. It's hard trying to create a place where he can still be innocent while still preparing him to walk out in a world that sees him pretty much as an adult. And he literally just turned 13. He's still a baby. He's still, you know, running around playing video games and basketball throughout the house. And so many people out here see him as an adult. So trying to navigate that space and teach him to be wise while retaining his youth, I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah, I mean, you already started to talk about this, but maybe you could say a little bit more about just how race and or gender inform or affect those choices that you make as a parent.
Whew. I think
I know it's a big question.
Oh yeah, and for me, it affects so much. It affects so much, and especially because he's a darker kid. You know, he is very dark complected, which we're taught is a beauty mark. You know, in our family, we have dark skinned people in our family, but he's the only one that got his grandfather's skin color. I mean, that deep, rich mahogany. And while it's beautiful, and I will never take it away that it is beautiful, so many people see it as a weapon. Mm-hmm. And so he has to carefully navigate how he goes into spaces, whether that's a grocery store and he's just skipping through the store. Somebody accuses him of stealing, or, you know, somebody accuses them of touching him. And he's like, I didn't do anything. I'm playing with a train, you know, or even just playing basketball. He's always seen as the aggressor. Like, my son could literally be fouled hard and thrown to the ground, and sometimes it'll be called on him, you know. And he didn't even tell me that was part of the reason that he wanted to cut off his locks. Not just he wanted a change, but because he's dark with long hair, he's automatically seen as aggressive. So, and it's weird because he's the sweetest kid. Like, he's just happy-go-lucky all the time. And so trying to love on him and promote that and encourage that and praying that people can see that instead of this skin that's not a weapon, it's beauty, but it's the world we live in.
It is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this next question is dealing with education and race, education and class, and education and gender. So you can choose what. How do these impact, inform, affect your parenting and your child's development?
I feel bad for saying this, but I push, and this is something that I realized that I did not too long ago, actually, while I was doing work with you guys. I just examined how I was looking at it, because I tell him, you're a man, you're going to be a man, you're going to be a black man, and you're going to be a dark black man. You have to be 10 times smarter than everyone you compete with, whether that's in school, whether that's in basketball, because you're automatically going to be seen as less than. They're not even going to ask a question. They're not going to ask where you come from. They're not going to ask what schools you went to. They're going to look at you and assume that you can't. So you have to prove that you can before you walk in the door. And he's a smart kid. The thing about it is he's super smart. He gets his work like that. It's super easy for him, which means he doesn't want to do it, So, and then he is also a kinetic learner. And for a little black boy to be a kinetic learner, he's automatically deemed as a bad kid. And it's not even anything that he did wrong. He just needs to move while he's learning. It's nothing bad, but he's automatically going to be seen as, oh, he's being disrespectful because he's rocking. Okay, he's going to be seen as bad because he's tapping on a table, when literally it's just helping him concentrate, and because of that, they want me to classify him as special needs, because we know that he's a kinetic learner, or because your teachers don't want to take the time to understand how to teach different kids. It's crazy, because I've had teachers who were literally surprised to realize he's 4 grade levels ahead in reading. And I'm like, how do you not know that? And he's in your class every day. Oh, maybe you shouldn't send him out because he's tapping his foot. Don't kick him out of the class because he taps a pencil. So it affects everything.
Wait, I have a follow-up question to that,
Daniel. No, please go ahead, Kimani. Yeah, go.
So it just seems like, in terms of you advocating for him, how has that then affected you in your parenting?
I am Mama Bear. I'm Mama Bear. I go to town. I fight. And I like for him to see me fight for him. I like for him to know that I am on your side. Even when I'm coming down on you, I am on your side. And because of that, I'm also just loving. I love on him. And he's a teenager, so he hates it. But, I go from being like, I'm going to protect my baby and I'm going to do what's right by him no matter what, to come here, my little smushy face. And he's just like, oh, God. So it's affected me because I'm extreme. I'm extreme, both ends of the spectrum.
Thank you.
And I actually had a follow-up question as well.
Your sound. Come closer. It's low.
I don't know why. It's just normal. Yeah, it's weird. I'll try to just project a little higher. I had a follow-up question as well about kind of reflecting back on how does that experience with your son affect you as a teacher?
Who
teach in the public schools?
It forces me to examine my implicit and explicit bias. And I probably go far beyond. When it comes to my students, especially my boys, I coddle a little bit. I will admit it. When it comes to my little black and brown boys in the school system, I coddle them, because there's so many spaces where they're automatically suspended. They're automatically seen as the aggressors. Like, I give them a place where they can talk. I give them a place where they can be open. Even if they don't really want to be in my dance class, that's okay. You can still come down and talk to me. I'm gonna still love on you. You know, I actually had one experience my second year teaching, and I will never forget. There was a young man, huge kid. He was a really tall, maybe 200-pound kid. And he was in special education, and he would get aggressive. He would get really, really aggressive when angry. And they could not calm him down one day. And I remember walking down there, and I just said, "Hey." And he goes, "Mama T." "Yes, baby." And he's gone from pushing safety and throwing them into lockers, and he comes and just lays on my shoulder. He just lays on my shoulder. And I'm like, "You okay?" "They made me mad." I'm like, "Tell me why. What did they do?" And they're like, "But I don't care what y'all saying. I need to know what he's saying." And what I realized is just giving them a voice to be heard brings them somewhere else. And I don't think I would have gotten that without experiencing it with my own.
I want to second that.
It's a very powerful story.
Yeah, I want to second that. That's what I see in my son, right? When you give the child the voice, it allows for them to feel seen, heard. So, so if you could put your parenting approach or experience into one word, what would it be?
I would say common. And the reason I say common is when I sit down and talk to other Black moms, they have the same experience and kind of same feelings that I have, even though for a while I thought it was just me. And so maybe I shouldn't say common, I should say community. Because once I opened it up and asked, I had so much support because they understood, because they've been there, because they've walked in my shoes. So.
Kind of following up on that, I guess, or maybe slightly different, but what would, if you were going to give one bit of wisdom to your son, as in the future, when he becomes a parent, if he becomes a parent, what would that little bit of wisdom be for him? How to parent in the world?
Don't be so hard on yourself. That's what I would tell him. Because my son is a little bit like me, and I beat myself up when I think I've made the wrong choice or I did something wrong, and he does the same thing, which I know he learned from me. So I would tell him, don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing well. Yeah.
I think that's great advice for all us parents, right? It's so often we want to do so right by our kids, and there's those days, those times where we just no, we just didn't handle the situation right, overreacted, or forgot to do something we should have, or somehow did not live up to this ideal parent that we want to be. And just to remember to be a little more kind to ourselves.
Yes.
Around that. That's great
absolutely.
Advice.
Give us the grace of we're doing the best we can with what we have. Right, give yourself that.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for that reminder.
No problem. I have to remind myself of that one often. Especially now.
And to remember that. Yeah, that's right. And they're more resilient than we think. Often, I mean, we've got to take care of them, and we've got to do what we need to do as parents. But as we were more resilient as kids than probably our parents thought, right? We got through it. We all needed therapy, but it's okay. We're good. They all need therapy too, but that's all right.
All right.
That's what happens.
I let them know, therapy's okay. We can do therapy.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
that's right. We need to have a college fund, and we need to have a therapy fund for them. So,
right.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to ask Tisiphani?
Or to share?
Or share, let's see. The only other thing I would say is thank you guys for giving me a space to tell my stories, to examine my truths, and to see that as parents, no matter where we are, our walks in life, we have the same challenges. And being in an artistic space with parents was healing. It was very, very healing, and it allowed me to examine my parenting style. So I will admit that I've taken a little bit from each parent, and I've tried to adopt it. So it was a great learning space. Thank you guys.
Well, thank you for your beautiful dancing there when we were together in person and in the film. Like, some of my favorite moments were just watching you move towards the end. And what I loved was that on the fence, it was thanking the parents. I was like, that is just perfect. I'm so glad you chose their dance.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just kind of reiterate everything Kimani just said. Just thank you so much for being part of this project. And hopefully we will be able to reconvene and bring this work back and bring it into a live performance situation where we can kind of really be in community with one another and with our larger community. So look forward to that.
Me too.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking the time today.
No problem. Thank you guys. All right.